Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know what today is? Monday Morning Chats with Sack, and Sack is me. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I had a good weekend. I got a chance to attend the Washington Bar Association annual holiday. That's when we acknowledge two people, whether they're lawyers or someone that's just doing amazing things in the community, as well as acknowledge our law school student scholarship recipients. And so why not, and it was a great time. Two students, one that were from Howard, and this money can help them with their law school journey. So every law student needs some type of money, right? And so I'm glad that we were able to raise funds to give them scholarships. But the event was nice. I got a chance to hang out with my UDC law colleagues. We all sat at the same table, as well as meet some other folks or get a chance to connect with folks that I didn't see in a long time, which was great. But overall, my weekend was good. Yesterday, I got a chance to do some yard work, and let's see, Friday was Cinco de Mayo, so I got a chance to hang out. I try to hang out all the time for Cinco de Mayo, so it was cool. I got a chance to go to a new spot. It's called Cinco de Mayo in Colombia, and it was cool. I also went to this other spot after that and ran into one of my students, and I was like, "You did not see me here." This place was selected by one of my cousins. If it was me, I probably would not. I don't typically hang out there unless I'm with my cousins. And that was my biggest fear, to run into a student. Now, I teach in DC. So for me to hang out somewhere away from DC and see one of my students, that was something that I did not expect. Something I did not expect at all. But it happened. Told my student, "Hey, you did not see me here. Don't." When the student saw me, he was like, "Per." I was like, "Come here. Don't call me professor here. Don't call me." The place was a little ratchet, but they had good food, good drink. So I was there and had a good time with my cousins. So I thought about so much stuff. So last Monday, I shared that I was talking to my therapist, and that was the first time that I cried, had tears come down in my eye in a session, and just talking about, just life and the things that I need in my life and why they're needed and why they're important. So we shared that. But I just started thinking about forgiveness, true forgiveness. And even though I tell you that it is a process, it really is. So here's what I shared with her. I said that forgiveness, that's the first, when you forgive someone, or forgive even yourself or someone else, you forgive yourself about what you accepted, right? But then I realized there's a process. And I told my therapist, I said that I forgave a lot of people in my life. I did it for myself first. Instead of me just doing it for the other person, right? I did it for myself. But I was like, here's what I struggle with at times. I struggle with me forgiving somebody, and then sometimes out of fear, if the reason why we disconnected was based on our behavior and whether or not I'm going to encounter this again, right? So if I forgive you for what you have done, there's a fear that what if this happens again? And I said, sometimes I struggle with that. Now, with some, it's a little easier than others. But here's something that my therapist said. She said, well, you forgave, but there's also redemption. Something has to die. So although you forgave multiple people, did you really sit in those feelings and really sit in why you feel the way you feel? Did you really sit in it? And I was like, yeah. She said, well, when you forgive, something has to die. So I'm going to read a Brene Brown's quote. It said, in order for forgiveness to happen, something has to die. if you make a choice to forgive, you have to face into the pain. You simply have to hurt. So with forgiveness, it also deals with the pain that you endure at a particular time, right? The pain that you endure. And sometimes we numb that pain because we don't want to feel. Who wants to feel pain that someone caused you? Who wants to feel hurt that someone caused you? No one wants to sit in that. But you actually have to sit in that to really understand why you feel the way you feel, right? You have to really sit in that. And then we use this saying that Brené Brown uses. It's called pause, reflect, and reset. So I went through that. Pause. Let me stop. Let me think about this. The reflection is to really look back and see what happened and allow myself to really feel. And then the third was reset. What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do differently? What's your plan of action? But I realized that one thing about forgiveness is something has to die. So I just started thinking about the people that I said I forgive. And I had to go back to this list and say, did I really, really forgive them? Did something die? But the thing that my therapist said, that's a process, Sakina. Like, you can forgive. Redemption is a process. Something dying, you surrendering. It's a process. So one day you may feel like you surrender, but the next day you may not feel that way. It's a process. So this is something I want to ask you. Did you truly forgive someone? And if so, did something die? And if something died, what actually died? And the thing that I told her is, I was like, thank you for sharing it. And I can understand that. I just said that when I reset, it's a matter of looking at this person as a new person without looking at their past. But I said, if I start seeing the same behaviors, whether it's friends or whoever, I was like, the reset is to leave again. But then she shared something else. She said, one of her clients, they talked about the things that they need, right? From her family, friends, or whatever. And she went through this list. Her client went through this list and said one statement to every person. And she said that from that one statement, it changed how people showed up for her in a great way. And it made me think, people change for various reasons. People would do things because they want to, not because they have to. Or sometimes they have to. But when it comes to forgiveness, I think that it's important to really think about the hurt. And if you're able to share it with the person, you should tell them. And I say that because sometimes people don't even know the hurt that they caused you. And sometimes they don't understand the lingering pain behind that sometimes people don't even think about, or they didn't even know that they hurt you, right? They don't know. They don't know what they don't know. So I had to really think about this, say, wow, okay. All right, I forgave this person. This other person, okay, it's still a process. This other person, yeah, cool. But when she made that one statement, I remember one of my friends, I told one of my friends how they did not show up for me at all. And I was like, this is what I expect from a friend. This is what I need from a friend. And I shared some other stuff. And once I did that, things changed. And then it made me think, did I make similar statements to people that maybe disappointed me? Did I say that? Right? That is important. Did I say that? This month and last month has been just about receiving abundance, alignment, and God has been really like speaking to me And it's been rewarding, but also crazy at the same time. So I got a chance to look at Wind Down with Mary J. Blige. It's on BET Plus. So if you had that subscription, I highly recommend that you look at it. Even though there's women talking on the first episode, it's also good for men to listen to, because I think they can relate. And what they talked about all different type of things. And they talked about, well, when was your first love, right? When was your first love? And how did you know that it was real love? And everyone had a different response, right? Everyone had a different response. But then as I'm listening to them, their responses came from what they experienced and their beliefs as children. And they just developed into adults. And they still had this belief system about what love is. How do you know it's love? And I shared this with my therapist. I was like, you know what? I thought I had an idea. Like, if you tell me in high school, I had an idea what love was. If you ask me in college, I have an idea. If you ask me in law school, I have an idea. If you ask me when I was in grad school, I have an idea. But I think that, well, I know that definition has evolved for me, especially when I started getting into church. And when I started to read the scripture, it went from me going to Bible study and people give me the word, and then flipping roles where I'm giving the word to others. And I told my therapist that reading 1 Corinthians chapter 13, like, people say that scripture, but sometimes I question if they know what it means. And so I've been telling God, like, God, I need you to show up for me. I need you to reveal some things to me. And I just kept going back to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. That sermon in itself is so powerful. Like, I find myself reading it quite often. And I say that because a lot of times, like when the young ladies at the Wind Down was talking about love, sometimes people's idea of love and what a good relationship comes from, sometimes it's not from what they experienced as kids, or sometimes it is. But then we also have social media that play a part. So if you see these videos, people laughing, dancing, smiling, think they're happy, and they may be happy, which is fine, but we don't know the work it took them to get there. And when it says love is patient, love is kind, love does not count wrongdoings, I just started to really think about forgiveness. Like, I rekindled a relationship with a family member, and that was hard. I told my brother, I was like, that was hard because this person hurt me a lot. And I had to sit in that. And when I sat in those feelings, I just kept telling myself, man, I would have never done this to this person. Why would this person do this to me? And some things was intentional. And that's something that boils my blood. Like, everyone see me get mad. Someone that intentionally means to do something, that means to do some type of harm. And so that bothered me tremendously. So I talked to my brother about this, and I was like, I made the decision to forgive because it is a choice, right? It's a choice that you made. And what helped me forgive this person was really understanding the person that they are. And no matter what, they can't change, or they're not willing to change. And so when I started to dig deep, I was like, I understand why this person do all these things, right? I understand it. And once I started to dig deep and really understand why this person does the things that they do, grace was given. The forgiveness was given, and something did have to die. The thing that had to die with that relationship was having this idea of what I know he or she can be. But just imagine just changing and looking at who they are, right? So we have this idea, I had this idea that, hey, I remember how this person was in the past. Maybe that would show up again because that's the person that I was really close to. But then I realized and dig deep and realize that no, this is who this person is right now. This is who they are. So I had to dead that idea of what I wanted them to be, or this idea of what I wanted, and just really looked at them for who they are. But with that, it comes with boundaries, right? It comes with boundaries. And acknowledging what actually hurt and realizing that no matter what I say or tell this person, it's not going to matter. I also learned that vulnerability, I already know this, it is a superpower. But also sometimes when you're being vulnerable with someone, they may not know how to respond. And it could be for various reasons. They don't have the mental capacity. Maybe just not right now, but they will. So instead of me getting upset, it's like, oh, okay. I'll give this person space to respond, or they don't have to respond. But did you let something die when you decided to forgive? Did you really sit in those feelings because your feelings do matter? And it's okay to hurt. I'm reading this book called The Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. I just started. And the reason why some people don't want to simply face the hurt, the pain, because it is pain. It hurts. It's an uncomfortable feeling, right? For anyone, it's an uncomfortable feeling. But you really have to sit in that and process your feelings. But sometimes what people would do instead is that they would numb it. They would suppress it. They would numb it. And how they numb it is through various things, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's to stay busy. Something to keep their mind off of that pain. And I can tell you, like last year, and just having some time to myself is real, like those idle moments, just really thinking about those things. And I found myself crying sometime, like, wow, like that was a lot, that really hurt. But really sitting in that. And forgiveness, it's a process. It's not something that is going to happen overnight. But again, like I told my therapist, that forgiveness and redemption, yes, they go hand in hand, but also change behavior. And so the question is, are you willing to sit in the hurt to really process it? Or are you numbing it? And if you are numbing it, why? Yeah, no one doesn't like to cry or think about the person that wronged you. No one wants to think about that at all. But I think that allows us to be in touch with our emotions and about how we feel about different things, and knowing that it's okay to feel the way that we feel. It's absolutely okay. Absolutely okay. Absolutely okay. So I challenge you this week that if you want some change in your life and the people around you, have a list of the people that's closest to you. And I want you to think about one statement that you're going to tell them and see if there's anything that changed. I'm willing to do the same because my therapist caught me off guard. And I was like, that is really smart. I really like that. And then also think about the people that you did forgive and what did that look like for you? And I applaud you for making that decision because it is a hard decision. And it's a hard decision because the forgiveness requires you to really sit in the hurt. It does. It really requires you to sit in it and to feel and to process things. And in some people's forgiveness journeys, it takes a long time because the hurt was just too much for them to endure. So they know that they go through this whole healing and forgiveness journey. They know that those feelings are going to have to rise. And when they rise, it's going to bring you back down memory lane. But the goal is, honestly, when you're forgiving and you're thinking about this stuff, the goal is actually to understand why you felt that way. If you need to cry, let it cry. If you need to throw things, make sure you're somewhere no one gets hurt. Whatever you need to do to let it out, I pray that you let it out instead of numbing the pain. Because if you think about it, numbing is just putting a Band-Aid over it. It's not healing. It's not healing the wound at all. It's just putting a Band-Aid over it. But the goal is, are you treating it? Are you going through the process? So that is my prayer for you guys. And also, when you do forgive, look at yourself and forgive yourself first. That will help tremendously. There's so much more I want to say, but I'll say that for another time. For Monday, it is Monday Crush. So to all the dope men out there, I hope and pray that for some, it may not apply for everyone, but I hope and pray that you are able to acknowledge how you feel and being able to express that without any backlash. I do pray that you create safe spaces for yourself first and being open to feel however you feel. And I pray that you don't use numbing as a way not to feel. I hope and pray that you forgive. Because based on my experience with some men that I know, when they hurt, and sometimes they may not share with anybody. But I hope that when you do forgive, I pray that along with that forgiveness comes redemption and surrendering and knowing that something has to die, right? Something has to die. Again, to men, I hope and pray that you're able to love on yourself, right? You're able to love on yourself. And it's funny because when you think about self-love, the love that you give yourself, that's the amount of love that you're able to give someone else. Your friends, the people that you choose as romantic relationship, they are a reflection of yourself. And so I just hope and pray that you make the best decision about the people that's in your life. I pray for abundance for you. I pray for abundance for everyone. I pray for alignment. And I just pray that you pause. I pray that you reflect. And I pray that you reset, right? All men, I just pray that for you. Like, it's okay to sit in your feelings. It's okay to process those feelings and know that it's okay to hurt. Like, I'll know some people that maybe still hurt over things that happened years ago. And sometimes it's easy to tell people to get over it. But when you are idle and you are in those thoughts, it's easy said than done. It's easy said than done. And so I pray that you're able to just let it out and just be free. And just express yourself without worrying about what someone else will say. Like, sometimes, like, I think I'm a good communicator. Sometimes I've been cautious in the past to say what I know I want to say, right? But it's first just really praying to God about, how should I say this, what I need to say? And then the fear was, well, what if it's not perceived? Then I thought about it. Am I saying things to get a response, the response that I want, or I'm being free? And I made the choice to be free, right? Made the choice to be free and say, you know what? I'm going to say how I feel, being mindful of what I say, because the goal is not to hurt anybody, but to be mindful of what I say, but also be free. Right? Without trying to have this perfect speech to express how I feel, but just actually saying it. When I do Monday morning chats, I wish I can tell you I had a script, but I don't. I'll think about things. God will send me messages, or I can read something. I'm like, hey, this could be a good topic to talk about, but I don't have a script. These are something that I just say whatever comes to my mind, just speaking freely. And to everyone else, I hope and pray that you forgive. I pray that you pause, reflect, and reset. I also pray that you know that you're amazing. You know that you're great. I pray that you show up for yourself first before showing up for other people. And I'll leave with this. I know I said that before, but I told my therapist this, and I was like, you know what? How I show up in a romantic relationship, as a friend, platonic friendship, or even in my profession as a law professor, how I show up with my colleagues, how I show up with my students, they are all the same, right? As a lover, as a partner, as a friend, as a best friend, as a professor to my students, as a colleague to other faculty members or other people in the law that practice law, I show up the same. I'm still the same Sakina, but what makes them different is the level of vulnerability. So I hope and pray that you're not afraid to share. I hope and pray that you're open to forgive and also be vulnerable. That's all I have, guys. I hope that you have a great Monday. I hope that you have a fantastic week. And just never forget that you're great. Take care, guys. Bye.